Hello there, guys. I believe the stream is working. Yeah, cool. So, welcome to the painting stream. This is the first one we've done. So, today we're going to be ranking all of the model ranges via their coolness and stuff that we like about them. So, there's no rules here. It's very much based off my vibes and what I like. So, feel free to drop in the comments as we're going that way. So, as we're going to see if you agree or disagree. But obviously, we're going to be painting as well today. So, I'm going to give you double the entertainment. You can hear some wild takes from me, and you can see me painting Daemon Prince. Now, the main thing here is, guys, I'm painting Daemon Prince because it's part of my Nightlords army. So, my Nightlords army has been going on for a little while. This guy, here we go. Ah, I've got some audio issues already. Okay. So, there we go. That should work now. So, yeah, we've got Radical the Beast. He is basically going to be my Demon Prince. I've put a Demon Prince backpack on him. I have given him a nice little demon sword. And I've made his little guy next to him with a Night Lordsy sort of a head, which sort of looks like vampiric anyway. And I've given him some more demonic bits. So this guy very much still reads as Radical the Beast, but also he's big enough to be a Demon Prince, which is super nice. So, yeah. So, we're going to start off with Vallejo Violet Red, and we're going to get into the rankings. So, the rankings today, guys, some of these come with a heavy heart, because some of them are fan favourites of mine, but I'm no massive fan of I'm not a massive fan of some of the range, so therefore they've been marked down. So, there are 27 factions to cover here, which is a lot of time, really, isn't it? So, we're going to cover Grey Knights first, and I'm going to put them we're going to do Grey Knights first. Now I'm going to put them dead last, unfortunately. And as you guys who know me well enough know, I love my Grey Knights. They are one of my favourite armies. But the models aren't good. I have to convert all of mine to make them viable and to make them read as actually Grey Knights. So, yeah, the weapons are too big. The range is too old. So Grey Knights aren't really in a good spot right now. But it's sort of been off the back of losing. They lost Drago as well from the actual, the actual game itself. Which, yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also pretty inconvenient to anyone who really liked Drago, like me. All of mine have candles because it's going to be a candlelit vigil for when Drago returns. So, Grey Knight's not in a great spot, but we do love them. So yeah, so in terms of Grey Knights, what's your what's your favorite and least favorite model from Grey Knights? I would love to hear that. So next we're going to go on to another one. Now I think this one is fair, and I think it was pretty close between dead last anyway, and that is the Agents of the Imperium. Now the Agents of the Imperium are an interesting concept, right? But the issue with the Agents of the Imperium is it's not actually a full model range. So the only reason why they weren't dead last is because Grey Knights have an older model range, and they have just recently got some pretty cool kits, like the new Inquisitor and all that sort of thing. So yeah, Agents of the Imperium in an unfortunate position right now. Yeah, and it's one of those things. I think the Callous Assassin is super cool. There's a few models in there that I'm a big fan of, generally speaking, but I can't give it to them based off the couple of models that I actually like. So yeah, I mean the assassins are all cool though. I like the assassins as a general rule. So this color I'm using, which is violet red, I believe. Yeah, violet red. This is a really good base tone for chaosy sort of skin tones, because over a zenith it creates this sort of natural gradient between the two colors, and it gives you sort of mapping of where you actually want to put your highlights. Now, this is the first painting stream I've done, and I think painting streams, generally speaking, I really like watching them because there's just something in the background to watch. So we're up to 26. So 26 is the Agents of the Imperium. So 25. What should we do for 25? I think 25 goes to the Drakari. The Drakari have some really cool and some timeless models in their kit range. but I'm not a monster. It's just there's too many old kits, so I can't see them ever being put into a higher rank than that, really, because they've got really old kits. I just lost half of the range as well, which is upsetting for them, I suppose, because of Legends. I found it strange when they got rid of all the grotesques and stuff, because yeah, they're fine cast, right, but they're also one of their few data sheets, so it felt a bit much. So yeah, I mean, Drakari though, I love the Lady Malice model. That was a new release, and I'm a big fan of that Lady Malice model as a general rule. Mainly because she is a newer sculpt, and basically you can see what happens when you actually get a Drakari kit that's, you know, updated, fresh, and, you know, looks good. It's just that their vibe is great. They're elves. Elves look awesome all the time, no doubt. Never in doubt, as it were. And she proved that. So as soon as you put some new model ranges available to the Drakari, and like Mandrakes look fantastic. I love that new kill team. Well, they new. It's not new at this stage, but I love that kill team. It looks awesome. I think we just need a few more. Basically, just to redo a few of the units. I think the new witches would be awesome. Some new Cavalites would be awesome. And also their combat patrol, which, shameless plug here, I've recently done a ranking of all the combat patrols, and if you want to go check that out, it is on the channel. Another thing, which we're going to, before we carry on, I'm going to go on to a little sub-segment, which is Armageddon. Armageddon was out this week. Oh, no. Armageddon is out next week, sorry, not this week. Silly. It's on the Saturday. And I'm really excited to get my box, because I've got a really cool plan for them. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the Squidmar Black Templars. It's Lucas Holmstrom's Templars. It's like it was just like a mix of Dark Angels and Templars, which was quite cool. And the way he did them was put candles on the back and do like really interesting rocky bases. And I keep looking at it and I keep trying to think, oh, how am I going to do my own version of this? Because I tried to do it on the Grey Knights to an extent, but I didn't finish the Black NMM because it took a while, and I was painting 72s at the time. But the army looks great, and with the new Armageddon models, I think there's a lot of potential there with, you know, that colour scheme, because, you know, they're new Marine sculpts, they look fantastic. And I do think that they would look great with that aesthetic. So I am going to completely shamelessly copy his cut scheme, and even his choice of colours, even the process. I'm watching his video on it at the moment, like back and forth, and I have a plan to sort of replicate that with my own little twist. Not much of a twist, but it is a little bit of a twist. It also lets me do some sculpting. I've been sculpting some bases ready for when I get the box. I've literally gone out and bought extra bases, so I have double the amount of bases I need for that entire kit, just so that the bases are ready for when I do it. Because I'm also doing a 24-hour challenge on the Armageddon box, and that's going to be out the week after. So we're hopefully going to get it done over the weekend, and then then get it released for you guys. So yeah, that's a 24-hour challenge. I'm going to do it for the Marines and the Orcs separately, 2 separate videos. It'll be too much in one video, but I think there's a lot of potential in that box. And the only thing I don't like really is the sculpted banner. Feels really limiting, which is sad. But I'm going to do another video anyway on Armageddon in a bit more detail, so I will not talk about that too much longer. And then we were on to 24. 24. So 24, I'm going to put Chaos Demons. I'm going to take out there, because they've also got some old kits. Yes, some of the Grey Demons look fantastic, but some of them look derpy. Like, I like the Keeper of Secrets, but then you've got other models in that range that I'm just not a massive fan of. So yeah, I mean, the range hasn't really had anything new as well. Like, it hasn't had anything new, but obviously it's because they're not really going to be a faction, right? Well, not they're not going to be a faction, but they didn't get a codex in 10th. We don't really know the future of them. It's in a bit of an awkward spot. It looks like it's leading towards moving all of that stuff into its own separate category, like, or like into each individual codex. So you might find that, like, you know, World Eaters can take Corn Demons, Emperor's Children can take Slaanesh Demons, and all that stuff. Which again isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just different. So I think that, and so yeah, I think the model range itself though is okay, but it's not really my vibe. It doesn't really read into me. I mean, I painted like 4 Lords of Change in a week, ready for a tournament. It's one of those like kits that suffers from high amount of trim, so it becomes miserable to paint after a while. But if demons are your vibe, then that's awesome. But they're just not mine. So yeah, that's demons for me. The one thing I will say is there are a couple of models in there that I really like Be'lakor, timeless classic. I really like the Keeper of Secrets. It's very Slaanesh-y. The vibe is done very well there, and you definitely know that you're carrying around a Slaanesh model for various reasons. But I do think it's a cool idea that they're putting all of the Slaanesh, all of the demons into the respective codexes rather than just allies. Because, you know, I get it. Because it feels weird having like a Beast of Nurgle in World Eaters. Not saying you could ever do it, but it would feel wrong, right? But I suppose if that feels wrong, why isn't it wrong to say? Why wouldn't it be wrong to say that anything else doesn't work? Like, you know, having a Beast of Nurgle in the Khorne Demon army, and that sort of thing. So I like what they're doing with it so far. It is interesting. So what are you guys actually painting? Is anyone out there? This is the first one, so I expect there's not many people here. We'll say the AOS models are significantly more lovely than the 40k models. That's why I try to incorporate them whenever I can. It's like my Chaos Lord jump pack. He is a Lord Aberrant or Archregent or something from the Flesh Eater Courts with the big bat wings. Looked really cool when I finished him. I was really happy with him. But I do just love a conversion. Like, who doesn't love a conversion nowadays? Makes things a little bit better. Hope you guys are enjoying this streaming setup as well. It's the first time doing it, so I'm hoping that when I watch this back, I'm not muted the entire time, because that would be miserable. Couldn't imagine how inconvenient that would be. So yeah, that's demons for me. I'm not a monstrous fan of them. So let's go on to number 23. Number 23, I'm going to put the Thousand Suns here. Now, before all you Magnus mains say, oh, Magnus is an amazing Primarch mini, he's fine. He's fine, in my opinion. I don't think he's the best Primarch mini by a long shot. I think he's actually the worst modern GW Primarch mini, personally, out of all of the ones you could choose from. Mortarion, no notes. Fantastic. Angron, a couple notes, but still awesome. And then Fulgrim. Oh, Fulgrim looks fantastic. And then actual, you know, the Imperial Primarchs, they look pretty damn awesome as well. Like, I really like Gulliman. I know people give him crap, but I like Gulliman. The Lion as well. Oh, what a mini! Absolutely stunning miniature. Big fan of him. It's one thing that may make me maybe at some point do Dark Angels. because, you know, Dark Angels, they're not really my vibe. I like Marines, but I really like the Inner Circle companions. But in terms of like the way they play and like the models overall, I think they're just cooler. But for all you Dark Angel mains out there, the line is amazing. And you're very lucky to have him. You better treat him well, or else I'll convert him into a chaos thing of some description, because I've done that before, and I will do it again. Oh dear. So yeah, I think the Thousand Suns in general, which is what we're talking about, the Scarab Occult Terminators, not a monstrous fan of, but they are also very old miniatures. The Root Marines have a lot of character, but God, they're horrendous to paint. Like, trim on trim, man. Like, it just feels completely unnecessary. Like, the level of... It's like the designer was like, I'm going to make miniatures that are the worst to paint ever in the history of the world. And we're going to call it a day. So, I imagine they didn't do it that way, but it certainly felt that way. Mutely Vortex Beast is interesting though. I like that guy. I also, to be honest, I really like the Zangor. I know some people aren't a massive fan of the Zangor, but I really like the Zangor. But I was a Beastman player in AOS, so that makes sense. It makes sense me being a Zangor sympathizer. So as you can see, guys, with this paint job, by the way, I have gone over the Zenith with a really thin coat. I'm going over it again with a really thin coat. The good thing about Zenith here is that you still maintain a lot of the colour, so it doesn't take you ages to build up to a solid coat. So it makes this painting actually a little bit quicker as well, which is super nice. Now, the reason why I like Evil Red, and I'm going to show you, hopefully I'll get to the point where to show you, is the shadows this produces is almost demonic. Like as you can see, it's like a deep purpley red, which darker reds are actually pretty good to build from Fleshram anyway. Like another good example of this is Burnt Red from the Vallejo range. Like that's a fantastic base color for you know, faces in general and flesh. But Evil Red's good in a separate way because it's a little bit more chaosy. It's a little bit more, you know, corrupted, I suppose is a good word for it. So I try to use those colors where I can. So yeah, Thousand Suns, not a massive fan, but I see the vibe. On to number 23. I have notes. There was a lot to remember. So on to 23. Sorry, is it 22? Oh, it's 22. On to 22. I'm going to put the Gene Stealer cults in here. Now, I'm just not a big fan of the miniatures that they have available to them. Like, I think the Aberrants are vaguely cool. I think the bikes are really cool. I think that the trucks are cool. I they're fine. They are a vehicle. But overall, I'm not that impressed by them. And that's the only reason why is I really love the Tyranids. Like, I really love the Tyranids, and these guys just feel like, you know, obviously they're not Tyranids. They're like, you know, they're the guys that go ahead from the Force and make the cults, make the planet ready for when the Tyranids arrive, which is super cool lore, to be fair. But I just don't vibe with them very well, and also the miniatures are actually also not fun to paint. Like, in my opinion, obviously anything's fun to paint if you like get the right mindset and you get the right and you have the right vibe for the army. But personally, I find it really hard to get behind the, you know, the hype for the Gene Stealer cults. Because I think another problem is I've painted 2 armies of them for commissions, which obviously skews your view a little bit, right? I'm gonna make sure the audio is working here quickly. Watch myself. Love this bit. Just listen to my own voice. Yes, it's working. Awesome. So, yeah, let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next one. So, the Gene Stealer cult's not a massive fan. So, the next one is going to be number 21. So, 21, we're going to go with Imperial Knights. So, Imperial Knights are now. Knights are going to be lower here than people. I think people are going to like, because I don't like knights. Not like straight up hatred for it, but like just not a massive fan. And the reasons why is they're not my play style, and I love playing the game. So they're not my play style, so I don't enjoy playing them. I don't like the way. I also just don't like how much effort has to go into one of them. It's a very daunting task, especially as like a begin. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm saying I'm a beginner, but especially as a beginner, like I can see it being quite a daunting prospect to have to paint an entire knight. Imagine that being your first kit. I can't imagine it being a very fun experience, or maybe it is. Maybe it's just like the best thing ever, and I'm just missing out. But personally, not a massive fan of Imperial Knights. However, I will give that there are some absolutely insane paint jobs for knights out there, and there is some amazing like hobby pieces, projects, all that good stuff. And I will always pay their dues. I'll always, give them credit where credit's due. And I will say that some of those projects look insane. Like I saw an entire NMM Imperial Knight, and I saw the Black Templar Knight from Squidmile. No, I keep mentioning them, but I really like I really like a lot of Lucas's work. Now, so Imperial Knights, I'd say one of the more popular factions as well, probably. So interesting that it's not really massively my vibe. So next, and we're going to talk about the paint job for a second. So I'm adding a little bit of skin tone here. Not much, just a little bit. And I'm going to start to build up some gradients on the flesh. Now, I've dropped down to a slightly smaller brush as well. I'm using my Artificer layer brush. Now, I know I use GW brushes, and I know a lot of people don't like GW brushes, but I think they're just fine. Like, I do also have Artist Opus brushes. I also have some Kolinsky Sable brushes. But when I'm painting, like, a scheme I've done 1,000 times with, and I've started off using a process, my brain doesn't really let me use another process. And I don't know why, but for me, I just prefer keeping everything nice and consistent. And also, the brush is actually pretty good. It holds a pretty good tip. I did a Custo Dreadnought recently, which I'm sure you might have seen some shorts on if you follow the channel, or if you follow the original 6++ channel. That's where the shorts were originally. Those shorts were basically me showing how I did the NMM, and NMM is super fun but a lot of work. And if you think this looks really strong as it goes on, guys, it is really strong as it goes on, but it's really thin, so it's gonna calm down a little bit as things go on. And as you can see, I'm covering like 90% of the surface, mainly because I want this to be, I want it to build. I don't want everything a load to be evil red. I want a lot of this to have the sort of, I want it to be quite pale at the end. So I do have to build up the color quite heavily before I get there. So, and that just takes time. And that's all part of the process. So, my 21 was Imperial Knights. Number 20, Chaos Knights. Not a massive fan. What can I say? I think that it's the same thought. The only reason why they're above Imperial Knights is because it's Chaos, and Chaos is cooler. And I think there's a lot more conversion potential for Chaos Knights. Don't get me wrong, again, I know that there are a lot of really cool conversions for Imperial Knights. Not saying there isn't, but I think you could just buy a Glopkin, like a big demon model, and just slam it together with an Imperial Knight, and it'll just look amazing. Which is why I've been tempted to do an Imperial Knight, a Chaos Knight army before, but not for long. It's just not my favorite thing to do in the world. So yeah, that's Imperial Knights for you. And also, I've been shot by spoilers too many times to actually rank them higher. And that's just a personal vendetta against those dudes. I've seen them split fire and kill 20 Marines. It's awful. So that is number 20. Number 19, I'm going to put Leagues of Votan. So I like the Stumpy Dwarfs. They're cool. I've never liked them enough to do an army of them, but they are cool. But the reason why they are lower than you probably want them to be is you're going to get to the point now. We're getting to the point now where, because I obviously like most of the factions in 40k, so we're now reaching the time where I actually like a lot of these factions. so so it's not like all of these, even though they're ranked like, you know, I think everything top 20 I'm a fan of, you know what I mean, some way, shape and form. But the Leagues of Votan are lower than you probably want them to be for those Votan mains out there. And the reason why is they are pretty rigid as models go. They're not very, you know, dynamic, and I really like dynamic models where like jumping off things, or they're like mid-stride, or various, you know, like poses you can imagine for all of the 40k models that you can imagine for. But I feel like they just don't really vibe that way. And also I feel like, I know this is going to sound ironic because I like Space Marines, but they all look very samey. Like, I think they could definitely have different vibes. I like the Berserkers, they are cool. I like the new Beric model and the new Steeljacks, they are rad. But overall, the entire range, it's just not my monstrous. It's just not a big vibe for me. Like, I think there's much better, you know, kits out there, and much better ranges out there. So there we go. We're gonna put them there. Next is number 18. We're gonna put the World Eaters. The World Eaters are really fun. I really like them. They are so low because I don't like the Berserker minis. I don't think they are dynamic enough for what you'd want for them to be. I think that the car model is cool but dated. Not that it is dated itself, just that it looks dated. It suffers from being a bit shorter as well, which I know sounds strange, but it just feels like he's not. I feel like the entire faction feels a little bit out of its time, which is a shame because I actually really like them. I also love Angron. Like, Angron's really cool, but like the actual model range itself, Berserker's old 8-bound look fine, but they're nothing like, you know, monstrously unique compared to, like, you know, Possessed, or I know they are the World Eater version of Possessed effectively, and they do slap good in combat, but not for me, like, overall. I've done World Eaters before. I found the playstyle super fun, but the miniatures never really gave me too much, you know, excitement. The Lord Juggernaut gave me a little bit of excitement, but that's about as far as it goes. And also there's a load of trim, so not that that's going to mark things down independently, but I just think that if we look, especially if we're looking at it from like a beginner sword point of view in terms of ranking the model range, it's not the easiest one to get into. So the reason why Thousand Suns were so low. So yeah, okay, that is number 18. Now let's go on to number 17. Number 17, I am going to put the Astra Militarum, the Guard. Now, this is low. I agree this is low, but there are some good ones to come. So I think I almost put these a little bit higher, just for the Krieg, and the Commissar Yarrick model is pretty cool. So I almost put these a little bit higher than I did. But the reason why I didn't is I do think there are still better factions and better model ranges out there. I also think that they lack. They're also not easy to pick up, and there's still a lot of dated miniatures in that range, like Katachan's, you know, old, like, trying to think of other examples. Like, even the vehicles are dated. Like, the Dawn isn't, obviously, but overall, I just think that the faction could do with a little bit of TLC, a little bit more. I think the Yarrick coming out is pretty cool. That was awesome. Was a big fan of that. But I think one thing that would be really cool for them as well is just some like new tanks. I know they just got that transport, which is pretty cool, but it's a transport, right? You want something big and nasty and with lots of guns that can kill your opponent, because you know a lot of people love that. So yeah, Imperial Guard, fine but not incredible. Fine but not incredible for me. But I do think they are a cool faction. But as I say, guys, this is just down to personal preferences now. I like all the top 20 in some ways. So I'm not saying that it's just actively bad, but I just think there is slightly better. Speaking of slightly better, let's go on to number 15. We're going to go with the Space Wolves. So the Space Wolf kits are awesome. I really like them. But as model ranges go, they lost a lot as well. Like, they had a few things going to... like I'm really sad that they... I know this is like a really niche thing to be annoyed about, but like the captain on Thunderwolf, I didn't want him to go. I really liked him. Because I literally just converted one up. And the converted one was really cool. Well, I thought it was cool anyway. I enjoyed him. But yeah, the Space Wolf miniatures, there's also some dated ones in there. Like the Wolfen I'm not a fan of. I know Space Wolf mains, I'm sorry. But the Wolfen minis, I've built them, I've painted them, and they've never impressed me. They've never made me go, wow, that's amazing. Because I just think there are better out there than that kit. So that's my take on that one. So yeah, so then I'm going to go on to, I believe, number 15 now. I'm losing track. Yeah, so 15, we're going to go with Blood Angels. Blood Angels. Now, the reasons why for this is the Blood Angels had a really meh release. They just didn't have a great set of models released, in my opinion. Now, I've spoken to some people on my team as well, and some other people, and there are some people out there that absolutely love these kits because they go for more of a generic blank look that you can sort of add your own flavour onto, which is a super fair argument. Like, if you like that, that's awesome. And if that is your vibe, then who am I to judge? But I think for a range that just had a refresh, it's one of the weaker ones. Like, I think this is the first Space Marines I've said. No, Space Wolves was first, which is fair. Because I still like you know, Astaroth is cool, Lamont is cool. And the Sanguinor could have been done better, but he's still a cool mini. Like, I can't say that the Sanguinor looks terrible because he's the Sanguinor and he's cool. But I do think they could have done a smidgen better than they were. So hence why they are a little bit lower than people may have expected. So next, let's go on to number 14, which is going to be the Dark... Sorry, it's the Dark Angels, yeah. The Dark... that's wrong. No, we're not doing 14 for Dark Angels. That's wrong. They should be higher. I've got 2 Dark Angels, that's why. Okay, so 14 is going to be the Adeptus Custodes. Now, they've just had a model refresh, which look fantastic. So, however, we're looking at the entire range of miniatures, not just the few that were released. And I think they leave something to be desired here. I think that they're okay. But for an army with not many dudes, and like your entire thing is that your army, your model count is low, and you could really do some really interesting things with this. I think the models are a little bit bland, in my opinion. And like, you know, Custodes, like, I like the newer Custodes because they're more lean and they're thick, but the old ones are just like really stumpy, like really, you know, I can't think of a word, like they're very much in the region of, you know, very dated, and they look old. And they probably are at this stage, right? Like, how old are those miniatures now? I don't know. I'll have to check at some stage. But yeah, Custodes, not a fan. And also the bikes. I know that some people love the bikes. I'm not a fan of the bikes. I think they are the worst jet bikes. Like, the new Space Marine ones look awesome. Eldar ones just look cool because they're Eldar, and Eldar can do no wrong, as everyone knows. But yeah, so let's go on to the next one. So 13 was Adeptus Custodes. Let's go with number 13 was Adeptus Custodes. Let's go to number 12. We're going to go with Adeptus... Oh, no, this is number 12, yeah. Number 12, we're going to go with Adeptus Sororitas. So Adeptus Sororitas, I really like this range. I've painted some Sisters Minis. They look awesome. I'm a big fan of them. The Triumph of St. Catherine is literally a diorama on a miniature. So that's awesome. I really like her in her dead coffin ways. And you also got models like Celestine, Mornval, the Seraphim look great. Like, as model ranges go, it's one of the better ones in my opinion. Hence why it's edging towards that top 10, but didn't quite make it for me. But the Sisters overall, though, I painted an army of them a while ago. They actually all were painted up as Bringers of Flame. Not that they have their own colour scheme, but they were orange. So they were orange, and you know that's about as far as we go with that. And they had some OSL, and they had flames and some candles and some spires and some incense and all that sort of thing. But yeah, so I painted that army up, and it's not an easy army to paint. I will give that as a caveat. It's a very difficult army to paint, but it's a very nice range. I've just spotted this nice big gap on his hand. God damn it. I'll have to fix that at some stage. For now, I'm going to carry on painting flesh. So, yeah, I think that Sisters have a really nice range. And also, I think they've had a really fun, like, few additions in terms of releases. They got their new Kill Team, which are really cool minis. And, yeah, so we're going to give them their credit. My credit is due. I'm going to give them number 12. So, number 11. We're going to go with the Tau Empire. Just missing out on the top spot here. The Tau Empire. I really like their minis. They're super cool. They've got that robot, robot vibe with just guns everywhere, and not massively my play style, but as minis go, big fan. Like, Farsight with his sword looks great. The new Twin Lance, as much heartache as they have caused, and they'll be forever sewed in my brain as a 10th edition nightmare. They are lovely minis. So I will say, I think the entire range is easy to get into as well. Assembly isn't hard. Painting isn't hard. There's a lot of flat armor panels, which can be daunting, I suppose, but just watch a couple of tutorials on how to approach those and you're okay. I think the main thing with Tau is just to make sure you produce some contrast across their own panels, and you're going to be fine. I'm painting this flesh a lot slower than I thought it would, to be fair. This is taking a while. So, yeah. So we're going to leave. Now we're in a top 10. The top 10 is the fun bit, isn't it? So let's do the top 10. So, number 10, we're going to put Chaos Space Marines in there. So, Chaos Space Marines as a range, as a range, fantastic. Love that range. There's also loads of variety. So there's lots of stuff to get into. There's lots of stuff that you can sort of, you want to run an Obliterator army, you can. Also the new detachments that have been released all look really fun, and there's a few different ways to play CSM. Like the Raptor detachment, the Obliterator detachment. You've got Nightmare Hunt for your Nightlord fans, which is awesome. I thought they were going to get rid of that, but they didn't, which is awesome. And, I think there's lots of things you can do with CSM that is super exciting, and they always feel like they have, they always feel like they're relevant, whether it be another release or here on this year. I know that last year was the year of chaos, but I feel like this year was. So, yeah, I feel like this was the year of chaos in disguise, which is exciting. But yeah, and also this year is the one that got me into Nightlords, to be fair. I read some lore, I painted some miniatures. I love them. And here I am now painting a converted Daemon Prince. So, Chaos Space Marines, super awesome faction. I really like them. So, definitely worth a go. So, that's our first top 10. So, we're going to talk about this mini for a little bit. So, this mini, when I saw this mini done as a, what was it? It's a chaos. It was like a Space Marine, but it was like done as, oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So it was a Chaos Space Wolf. That's where I saw this been done. I believe it was one of the guys of the Kieran show that did it. I think. Don't question. Don't you know, poke me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but they did this guy as a Chaos Space Wolf, and he looked amazing. Like he was really cool. So big fan of that. So I was like, you know what? That's a Nightlord. Looks like a Nightlord to me. Looks vampiric enough. Looks, you know, edgelordy enough. So went for the same vibe. So what I really like doing at the moment is going through things that other people have done. I've been like, how do I make this my own? And I'm still copying, right? But it's it's trying to make it a little bit, you know, a thing. I'm going to finish off this leg, and I'm going to go up to the higher highlights on these so I can show you guys a little bit more. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the stream. You might be the only one here, but that's okay. It's the first one. We're currently painting a Nightlord Daemon Prince. Speaking of which, I'm meant to be doing these every half an hour. Welcome to the stream if you've only just joined. We are currently painting Nightlord Daemon Prince. We are on currently rank number 9 in the top in the model ranges. We're going to do a quick reel off of the ranking so far. So you got 27 Grey Knights, 26 Agents of the Imperium, 25 Chaos Demons, 24 Kari, 23 Thousand Suns, 22 Gene Stealer Cults, 21 Imperial Knights, 20 Chaos Knights, 19 Leagues of Votan, 18 Space Wolves, 17 World Eaters, 16 Astromilitarium, 15 Blood Angels, 14 Custodies, 13 Sisters, 12 Tau, 11 Chaos Space Marines. So actually we're on 11, not 10. Whoops, we missed out 2, which is actually coming up now. So we're on to number 11 now. So number 11 is going to be the Dark Angels. Now, these guys would have been higher, but they don't really have loads in the way of releases to compare to. But I think these guys are awesome. Like the Inner Circle Companions, beautiful minis. The Lion, fantastic. I absolutely love the Lion. He's so cool. Like also in game, he's super, you know, fun to use as well, which is also really exciting. We're gonna swap to a bigger brush. I feel like I don't need to use an artificial brush on Daemon Prince. So yeah, the Dark Angels feel like they are in a really cool spot, and there's a few reasons why. Now, the Inner Circle Companions look amazing. They are a beautiful kit. They're exactly sort of the model refresh that you sort of want for the Dark Angels. They read really well as them. They look fantastic, and you know there's loads of iconography, and you know they're just very Dark Angel-y, which is super fun. So I'm a big fan of that. And then obviously we've gone to the Lion. The Lion's awesome. I love the Lion. He's just so cool. But apart from that, you've got other models like Azrael, which is, you know, a nice mini. I wouldn't say he's anything to scream home about. He's just a captain. But overall, super nice range. So I'll give them 11. So let's go on to the actual number 10, which is going to Black Templars. So Black Templars, there wasn't a world I was going to put these guys out of the top 10. They are so cool. I think Helbrecht is one of the better models of all time, and I know that's a wild take, but it's mine, so sorry. But Helbrecht is awesome. I also really like the Execrator. and all the new releases that came out for them. The Crusader Ancient looks really cool. The only problem is with the Crusader Agent, I suppose, would be the only criticism that I would have is that it feels like they should have an actual banner rather than the little like totem poly thing that they have. And the actual banner should have like I really like clean, fresh slate banners, which I was talking about Armageddon earlier. And if I was going to do an Armageddon kit, when I'm doing the Armageddon, I'm going to be doing them as Black Templars. But that Black Templar kit, my Black Templar banner guy is going to have an actual banner. Like I know they have a banner in the Armageddon kit, but I'm gonna give them a blank banner because I really like doing some freehand. I'm not great at it. You don't have to be good at something to have fun with it, though, right? So I'm going to do some freehand on that banner, as I did some freehand on the Custode Dreadnought, and that was really fun to do. So yeah, would recommend that. And yeah, so that is on. So that's number. That was number 10, wasn't it? Yeah, that was number 10. So one. No, yeah, sorry, that was number 10. So now we're on to number. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, so that was number 10. Yeah. So number 9, we're gonna go with the Eldari. Eldari are awesome. They're one of my favorite kits and one of my favorite factions as a general rule. And there are damn good reasons why. It's an absolutely beautiful set of miniatures. The Aspect Warriors look fantastic. The new Aspect kits look great. Like, yeah, I just really, really like this set of miniatures. So, yeah, I mean, the Eldar, one of my favorite kits in there is probably like the Phoenix Lords is a general rule, and they're some of the older ones. Not old, but older. Like, you know, I know that they were redone last edition, was it? But Fugan looks fantastic. Azaman looks bloody lovely. I'm trying to think what else is there. Lycus is a great miniature, just an absolute horrible thing to build. That webbing is just awful. That was my own personal view on it anyway. And then, yeah, so I think the Eldari definitely sit comfortably in at number 9. And then we are on to number 8. So number 8, we will go with the gonna go with the Orcs. So the Orcs, and this is actually number 8. Sorry, no, this is actually number 7. So we're gonna go with the Orcs. So the Orcs are really cool. You know, as model ranges go, they're one of the most versatile. And obviously they've just had a new Armageddon box as well, which is even more miniatures to add to their arsenal, which is super cool. But yeah, I think they are one of my favorite ranges, clearly my 7th favorite. And I think that probably my favorite model in the entire range is probably Gaz. Gaz, they've just absolutely nailed him, haven't they? He looks absolutely stunning. Beautiful miniature, no notes. And, you know, that's awesome. So let's go on to this mini again. So this mini, I'm sort of going back and forth in between my Evil Red and my Skin Tone. And basically what I'm doing with thin layers is building up this gradient nice and slowly. I've swapped to a bigger brush to make it a little easier for myself so it doesn't take me forever. And I'd like to show you at least a vaguely finished section of this flesh before we move on. Now, when you're painting flesh, you've got to sort of remember it doesn't quite work the same way as armor, where it's like reflections or anything along those lines. This is more like light hits top down, which sounds simple, but it's quite an important concept to grasp with flesh, because if you start, like, there's areas that are going to be highlighted that look like recesses, but it feels wrong to do it. But as soon as you do it and you finish it, it's like, oh, I was right to do that. That's good. Like, you know, areas that you'd expect to be highlighted might be slightly darker because of the positioning of the flesh. And, you know, these things are quite important to, you know, get a grasp of and a good concept of. Now, sometimes if I'm doing this in a speed painting fashion where I don't really care about the gradient too much, I will just go straight in with like a 50-50 of Skin Tone and Evil Red, and it's going to get it with really pale. Now, the reason I don't do that, generally speaking, is because it's much harder to control the gradient. So you end up with like quite a desaturated look for the flesh, which if it goes wrong, which can do, I'm not good enough at it to do it consistently good. But if you just take your time, just adding the flesh bit by bit, you'll always get a nice little gradient from it, which is super cool. Like here, as you can see, I've jumped a little bit too quick. I think I've missed a step in between, so we have to go back over with the color in between and just, you know, build that up a little bit more. And yeah, that's some pretty fun stuff. Here as well, we haven't actually done yet, but I'm gonna see if we can get away with it because we've got some inks to go with this after anyway. Not that I'm gonna get around to the inks today. I'm only painting for an hour today, just to get the streams going, you know, because I wanted to speak to you all. And Sam called me handsome, so it was all worth it. So yeah, I think generally speaking, when you're trying to do like, you know, chaotic flesh, I think going for like a magenta-y, pinky sort of, you know, tone that you can build from is really cool. Big fan of that. So when it comes down to the hand as well, I try to keep the, and whenever you highlight with the gradient in between, just try to be more selective over where you put it and slightly less each time, because then you start to build this like visual interest on the areas that you want to build. Then we add more skin tone and we go again, because this is Warhammer, this is life. Now at this point I'm going to swap back over to my spill brush because I want a little bit more control over the textures I'm going to be introducing here. So bit of water on there, keep your paint nice and thin. So on the face, we're going to zoom in a little bit here, see how good my camera setup is. It's exceptionally average. Right, so we're going to be trying to establish the highlight on all the areas now. The important bit here when you're trying to do this, the important here where you try, I just realised I'm talking really quietly. The important bit where you're trying to do this is making sure you highlight up to the edges of where you're already doing a highlight. So like you can see here, I'm sort of choosing areas that the light's going to, you know, polish and reflect a little bit more than the areas around, like bottom of the ear, all that good stuff. Then on the brows, I say brows, I'm going to say that they are really tough eyes. And then we just keep building this up. Now I try and keep my brush relatively mobile while I'm doing areas like this. The reason why is you start to create some texture. Now texture is sometimes you don't want for flesh, but when you're trying to do it in a way that you're not going to be doing 1,000 layers, having some text that you introduce and then blending it back over with like a glaze or an ink really helps you out here. Oh, I might have gone off the camera again. I slowly drift. I'm not zoomed in. Let me just go around nice and easy. As you can see, this is already starting to come together with the flesh, because this color palette really works with like chaotic flesh, which is super fun. I've just realised I've been highlighting a beard, but that's fine. We will just make that a beard layer, because that's easy to fix. One thing I've realised, I think the shadow here, a little bit too dark. So whenever you have something like that, just pick up some of your darker colour, mix it in, and then thin it out. And then we're just going to start to introduce that back in to brighten up the shadows a bit, because I think that's a little bit too stark for me. Bring it all the way down. Just so that his actual flesh underneath looks like flesh. And once that's on, we can go back to the colour that we had originally. Let's start to introduce that back in. Nice and easy. Then we just go with a second pass. Oh, and there you have it, ish. It's almost there. And then you do the rest. Now, in the interest of finishing a part of this model before I go and finishing the tier list, I am going to just paint the face from now on, so I can show you that finished. So we're on to number 6, Space Marines. The Space Marines. Now, Space Marines are cool, right? So one of the most versatile ranges in the the entire system. However, they do suffer from the idea that they are poster boys. They are, probably I wouldn't say bang average. Like in terms of like the kits, there's a lot of hit and miss. Like I think I love Gravis, whereas I know some people just do not like Gravis at all. Just doesn't vibe with them whatsoever. But I really, really like the Gravis models, like Eradicators, Heavy Intercessors, all big favourites of mine. But I think the Space Marines overall suffer from the fact that they don't have even though they have all the variety. Like whenever you have, whenever you look at a model range, I try to look at it from other perspectives than just one of the coolest models. One of the coolest models. The one thing that made me want to put this a little bit higher was there's lots of different model ranges within the Space Marines. Like you have all of the custom chapter masters from each of the chapters. Like you have Gossaro Khan, you have Vulcan, you have Donald Lysander, and they all had recently upgraded models, which is super cool. And the models are real nice. But I think that there are just prettier, miniature ranges out there. Like overall, I think that they are absolutely fine. Like they're absolutely fine. They're nothing to scream home about, or they are, because I think they are one of the cooler factions that you can choose. So I really do like Space Marines. Like the Victrix Honor Guard recently had their little moment in the sun, which is really, really fun, because Ultramarines weren't good all edition, right? So there's nice they had a moment. That was a joke for anyone who wants to comment hate, or to comment hate anyway, it's fine. But overall, Space Marines gonna get number, I don't know what number we're on, lost track, I'm having too much fun. Number 6. So we are now into the top 5 of model ranges in 40k. So at this point, guys, if you're watching back, because I'm guessing not many people are actually watching, so we'll say if you're watching this back and you're looking afterwards, at this point, what do you reckon my top 5 are? Out of all the ones that we have available, what do we reckon? So let's go on to number 5. So number 5, we have Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, a lot of people have said, I've said on the channel a lot, that AdMech are horrendous models to paint and they are really hard to paint. And I'm right. Well, I think I'm right. But that doesn't change the fact of how good the models are. So I think that overall, like the Skitarii stuff looks absolutely phenomenal. Like I think it looks great. I think that's a great visual of what you'd sort of want for the AdMech. The robots all look great. I'm a massive fan of those. The priests look awesome. There's some really cool characters. The new tech priest character that came out recently, the lass, she looks great. Oh, I've messed that up. No. But it's okay. As mentioned, it's all fixable. But yeah, so what I'm doing here, by the way, is whilst it's wet, I just mix on some of the evil red, and then it will like reshade it a little bit, and then go back in with a mid-tone, and sort of start to introduce that back in, like so. Yeah. So yeah, AdMech, really cool kits. Horrible to build, horrible to paint, but they look fantastic. So there you have it. Okay, so that is number 5. Number 4. Number 4, we're going to go on to something a little bit, you know, off skew. Now, they're going to go into this, and we're going to call these, we're going to say Death Guard. Mainly because Mortarion and the entire range is just awesome. Like, in terms of Chaos factions, these guys did it the best. Well, second best. And because of the way the actual troops look, all of the different, you know, variations there are of. Basically, these guys could definitely suffer from looking very samey and having a similar vibe, because they're all like, look at me, I'm tough. Look at me, I'm Nurgle guys, etc. But they don't. They all have their own individual look. They all have a very, you know, obvious aesthetic that they all adhere to, whilst also maintaining a level of authenticity to each kit. It's like they have a lot of detail, similar to the T-Suns on their molds, but it's like it's a different kind of detail, it's a different kind of character. Like, I feel like the character on the Death Guard it looks way better than on the T-Suns, for example. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit rough, but that's okay. We're going to be fixing that later. So next, after skin toned, now that we've done a pure layer of skin tone, we're going to go on to light flesh. This is really, really, really pale. So you don't want to be doing loads of this. This is going to be very selective. This is basically an off-white. So I'm going to get light flesh. Again, because it's practically white, it's also very thin. So you can apply this without too much worry that it's not going to go too, you know, mental at the same time. So here, I'm just going to be framing the areas that I want a little bit brighter. Like here, where his dome would be in the sun a little bit. And then just on the cheeks here. Tips of the nose. And then over here, where I think the light would hit. Doing little gaps to give this glinting sort of maybe there. What's going on? That's basically the light flesh. So, yeah, I'm going to get this guy a little bit close to me for a second while I do some glazes. But I'm a big fan of the Death Guard. They are really cool. And also, Mortarion, love him. He's great. Also one of the most tragic Primarchs in terms of lore. Like, he had a rough time. So, now we are on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be Necrons. I hate to say it, but they have some really, really cool miniatures. Now, if you're new to the channel and you don't know why I just said, why I'm like, you know, pain to say it, is because I'm not a massive fan of the Necron rules in the way they're written and the way they're designed. But as a army and as a, you know, an aesthetic, they look great. I can't say any more than that. They look fantastic for what they're trying to do. They look like death robots that don't die. They are death robots that don't die, and you can't really ask for more than that in this situation. So, you know, that's kind of where you're at, right, when it comes to those situations. Okay. So as you can see, the flesh has been sort of tidied up a little bit, but it could do with a little bit more refinement. So we're just going to go with little dots of ivory here on the way down, and a little bit of ivory here, a little ivory there, a little ivory here. This area is a little bit open, so a little line of ivory there. And then do little glazes here and there. Okay. And then a thin layer of skin tone, just to smooth things out a little bit, which is exciting, because then we're pretty much there. Okay. Then we are on to our magenta. So magenta ink is a cheeky hint and cheat code. But anyway, Necrons, yes, very good. Like, you know, the entire vibe of them is awesome. Like, you got the Catans, which look great, but the minis the actual rules themselves are the bit that I'm not a massive fan of. But I can't judge it on that. That's not what we're judging on today. Got to be impartial, so I will be. So number 2. So we've got 2 left. You have Tyranids and Emperor's Children. Guess in the comments which one I choose, and then you can listen. So I chose Tyranids as number 2. Now the reason why is that I think you've already guessed what the last one is, but I just don't see anything else. I think these guys have had an awesome set of releases this edition in terms of like models. So I actually just have no notes for Tyranids. I think they look I think they're just awesome. Like, personally, I think they're just such a cool faction. They have some really lovely miniatures. I've actually been painting over the last few days as well, or a few weeks. And I did that 24-hour paint challenge recently, which if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I did 1,000 points of Tyranids in 2 days. It was awesome, really fun. And yeah, I think it's just like, even down to like the Tyranid Prime mini, it just looks awesome. Absolutely love that guy. As you can see, the magenta's going into the recesses now, and it's sort of coming together, but not quite yet. And we'll mix that in there. And then we just want to touch on a few areas again, just to brighten them back up. And there we have it. There's his face. So, yeah. Number 2, Tyranids look awesome. Now, number 1. This one is a very obvious number 1 for me, and I don't think anything else tops this or has come close to me. This is the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children have had an absolutely insane year of releases. They've had Flawless Blades. They've had an entire kit, range. They've had Noise Marines. They've had Fulgrim. They've had loads of cool stuff. Like, I have Nightlord models in my Emperor's Children. I have Emperor's Children models in my Nightlords. They look awesome. So I put the
the infractors converted with Nightlord bits to make my Corsair Raiders. So because they look very piratey by nature, they've got the pistols, they've got some swords, they can look quite piratey in nature. And I think that's awesome. And then you've got stuff like obviously Fulgrim is a phenomenal mini. I painted him up as well. I did pink NMM, which was super stressful, but also very fun. And the Flawless Blades, lovely miniatures. And yeah, they've also just utilized kits around them really well. Like they just slide really nicely into the world effectively. So yeah, I think Emperor's Children are number one here. I mean, obviously, let me know in the comments below, guys, if you agree or disagree with the comments made. I mean, there's a few rogue ones in there, I'm aware, but I'm more than happy to be proven wrong or told I'm wrong. And that is the Evil Flesh face. This is basically what I'm doing to, like, you know, not like sort of semi-speed paint, I want to say. Like sort of speed paint areas that I think are easier to get done quickly. So like what I'll do is play with this flesh back and forth for a bit. Like I just don't think it's quite smooth yet. But it will be after time. So like basically I play back and forth until I hit a tonal variance that I really like, and then it stays there. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna go play with this like face for another couple hours. But I'm going to leave you guys to it. I've gone through the tier list. Obviously, if you like this sort of stuff, then please do like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. It is awesome. And I will see you on the next stream. So, guys, much love. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I'll see you next time.